Now, I told you yesterday that game developers would be super angry if they were unable to cancel Five Nights at Freddy's creator, Scott Cawthon. Well, my prediction was correct. In fact, Kotaku is currently throwing a hissy fit in which they claim that even though there's no evidence of Scott Cawthon being like a bigot or something like that, he still is because reasons. Glad you could tune in today. By the way, if you're watching this video and you haven't yet subscribed, there's a red subscribe button down below the video. Please do consider clicking it. It'll be the only way you find future videos from me, as YouTube certainly does not show my videos in search. Now, to get you up to speed, most of you probably already know, it was revealed. By the way, every time one of these news, quote-unquote, agencies say that something was revealed, it really just means it was held on to until the most opportune time to release. It's never organic. It's always inorganic in terms of this type of information getting out there. Now, of course, it's 100% fine if all the video game developers out there donate money to far left sources, or the BLM organization, which has $90 million that has completely disappeared. That's fine. But if you give money to Tulsi Gabbard, you're canceled. By the way, $2,500. Hardly a large donation for a multi-millionaire, but what you don't know about Scott Cawthon is he is a Christian, and there are certain things that go along with being Christian, including being pro-life. And while I don't consider myself a particularly religious person, I respect those that are, as long as they're, of course, not infringing on anyone else's rights. It's not hurting anybody for somebody to have particular religious beliefs. And this particular case is one thing that modern weirdo SJW leftists hate. If there's one thing they hate, it's actual religion, because their religion is social justice. They act like, you know, it's cool and hip to be an atheist and yeah, fight the system and yeah, I'm just smarter than everybody else. But yet they worship at the altar of social justice and cancel culture. Honestly, a far worse altar to worship at, as it doesn't really instill any lessons in you, like, you know, being kind, and maybe lessons that what you do during this life matters. So be as kind as reasonable. No. These people want to moralize and grandstand about you. So after they failed to cancel Scott Cawthon yesterday, Ash Parrish went on to write, "Sorry, creator Scott Cawthon, political donations don't work that way." So now prepare yourself for some of the most hilarious mental gymnastics you may have ever gone through. Scott Cawthon, creator of Five Nights at Freddy's series, went viral over the weekend after his political donations were publicized on Twitter. The donation list was a who's who of homophobic, transphobic lawmakers, like Tulsi Gabbard? Tulsi Gabbard? I don't remember seeing any buddy calling her that. Democrat, by the way. Mitch McConnell and Donald Trump. Fans reacted to Cawthon with a mix of anger and feelings of betrayal, while others left messages of support in social media trending the hashtag #IStandWithScott. So essentially, what I can tell you is far more people stood with Scott than were mad about it. Otherwise, it wouldn't have been trending. Something like Cancel Scott would have been trending. Scott Cawthon created Five Nights at Freddy's back in 2014. Since then, the horror franchise has been stuck in a pizza parlor with murderous animatronics and has spawned numerous sequels, spin-offs, books, and a movie. By the way, I talked about this last night on a live stream. I purchased the game, and I will stream it probably on Quartercast, which is, it's linked if you go to like the channels tab of my page. Quartercast is where I'll stream games, and so I'll play that, I think, tonight. So the latest FNAF Five Nights at Freddy's security breach is being made by Steelwolf Studios and expected to be released sometime this year. Cawthon responded to the backlash with a lengthy post on Five Nights at Freddy's subreddit expressing his love for the LGBTQIA plus fans and shock at the angry responses he's received. And by the way, the man had been doxxed. He had received horrible threats. His pregnant wife was panicking. All sorts of just terrible things. Quote, I'd like to think that the last 7 years would have given me the benefit of the doubt regarding how I treat people, Cawthorn wrote in a now-locked Reddit thread. Cawthorn also stood by his donation to Donald Trump and other anti-LGBTQIA Republicans. I don't believe that there is really any evidence, and I would like to see actual evidence that Donald Trump is anti-LGBTQ. I mean, seriously, I want to see it. I'm sure that people are scrambling to find some obscure policy that negatively affects that community in some way. But from everything I saw, he embraced that community fully. I mean, he has lots of supporters, not just log cabin Republicans, but everyday members of the LGBTQ community that I know that voted for him. Sometimes you know, I know this is inconceivable to people that whose ideology is their entire identity, but you know, sometimes somebody who's gay might have a business that they want to succeed. I mean, maybe somebody in the LGBTQ community would like to pay less taxes. I know this is probably crazy, but you know, it's maybe why they voted for a Republican. Just saying. Even if there were candidates who had better things to say to the LGBTQ community directly and bigger promises to make, I believe that their stances on the issues would have ended up doing much greater harm to those communities than good. Essentially saying, look, yeah, there were more progressive candidates, but I didn't like their policies. You know, you can take or leave that explanation of it. Cawthorn wrote, in the aftermath of his donation disclosure, he and his family had been doxxed with people sending threats that they would come to his house. I unequivocally agree that Cawthorn should not have to suffer these types of things. Why do I feel like there's a but coming? To his family's safety because of political affiliations. And of course, Cawthorn is entitled to support whatever candidates he pleases. But I knew it. I knew it. But his insistence that he loves his fans and his personal actions regarding whom he's hired, worked with, and befriended over the years should speak louder than his political donations makes no sense. So essentially he's saying, this author is saying, look, I know that you hire and work with members of the LGBTQ community. There's absolutely nothing, no evidence of you saying anything derogatory about that community. But because you donated $2,500 to Donald Trump, you clearly hate the gays. That's the stretch that this person's making. And, you know, this kind of garbage is, in my opinion, far more damaging to that community than like, are we really going to focus on a guy who has no known like anti-LGBTQ rhetoric or things he's done? This is what we're focusing on rather than actual bad people, like people who are actually bad for that community. We're going to go after a video game developer who donated $2,500 to Donald Trump. I believe that the more you go after these people and desperately try to gaslight and villainize them, that you end up turning other people off. There will be moderate people in the Friday Five Nights at Freddy's communities that will now negatively view the LGBTQ community because of this. That is an irrefutable fact. So maybe you should be focusing on actual bigots rather than trying to create them out of thin air. I've never met him. I've played and enjoyed his games. Full stop. Then who cares? Everything after that statement is irrelevant. And from a fan testimonies I've seen online, I have no doubt that he's every bit genuine and kind person people say he is. Okay. How about a big butt coming in? But none of those excuses, the irreparable harm he's done to the people he purports to love. The irreparable harm? A $2,500 donation? You're joking, right? This sounds like somebody who also like worships at the altar that white supremacy is the #1 problem in this country. Yet I can't see it anywhere. Where are all these white supremacists? Where are they? They're the #1 problem. I should see them everywhere. There's an unfortunate but prevailing sentiment among non-marginalized people that in order to be a bigot, one must be active and malicious and participate in bigoted behavior. Oh, I'm sorry. I guess I think I was wrong. So just to be clear, what this person is saying is, look, you've never actually said anything against the gay community, but I'm going to go on to write about how you're against the gay community. Like, this is absolute trash This is like ridiculous. And then any chance for these weirdos to write about January 6th or whenever the insurrection happened, and or write about Trump, or write about, like, really? $2,500. You think his $2,500 influenced Tulsi Gabbard's decision making in any way? Did it help her get elected? No. Did it help her win the Democratic nomination? No. By the way, I don't love all these people either. I'm not a fan of Mitch McConnell in any way, shape, or form. But do you think his $5,000 did anything to Mitch McConnell's, like, helped change his mind about anything? No, of course not. And it's only one of many issues, right? The idea that there's a perfect candidate out there with every correct opinion is absurd. That's what the problem is. These people have the progressophobia that we're talking about earlier in the week. This country has progressed immensely in the last 50 years. I think every state in the country allows gay marriage, and they should, in my opinion. Everyone should be able to get married. Who cares? You know, the idea that coming out is some sort of dangerous thing these days is absurd. There's an entire month dedicated to Pride and only a single day dedicated to dead U.S. soldiers. Okay? Every major corporation supports Pride. Every major corporation, including Raytheon, which makes intercontinental ballistic missiles. Okay? So I would offer that Ash Parrish, or whatever her name is, their name is, maybe they worry about actual bigots because they're out here looking foolish. And honestly, I believe articles like this are far more damaging to the brand of the LGBTQ community than they do far more harm than good. If I get canceled, I get canceled, he wrote. I don't do this for the money anymore. I do it because I enjoy it. Probably true. He's probably wealthy. Focus on actual bad people and enough of this trying to turn people into what you want them to be, because you're just losing it. You're losing support. You're looking foolish, and articles like this are garbage. Hope you enjoyed this video. We'll talk to you again real soon.